Welcome to my Celebrity People in the World channel. Please enjoy with news about the world now. Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, 1981 to 1989, a legacy of change introduction. Welcome back to the World News channel, where we dive deep into the lives and legacies of influential figures in global history. Today, we explore one of the most transformative presidents in U.S. history, Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, who served from 1981 to 1989. His presidency marked a significant shift in American politics, economics, and international relations. In this video, we'll take a closer look at Reagan's early life, his rise to the presidency, key achievements during his time in office, controversies, and the lasting impact of his administration on the country and the world. So, let's get started. Early life and career. Born on February 6, 1911, in Illinois, Ronald Wilson Reagan was the son of a shoe salesman and a modest family that faced financial struggles. Reagan's humble beginnings shaped his views on government, personal responsibility, and the American dream. After graduating from Eureka College in Illinois, he worked as a radio announcer and later became an actor in Hollywood. His acting career in films such as King's Row, 1942, and Bedtime for Bonzo, 1951, helped shape his public image as an affable and trustworthy figure. Reagan's political journey began in the 1960s, when he transitioned from being a liberal Democrat to a conservative Republican. This shift occurred as he grew disillusioned with the left-wing politics of the era, particularly with issues surrounding government intervention, taxation, and the role of the state. Reagan's political breakthrough came in 1966 when he was elected governor of California, a position he held from 1967 to 1975. His tenure as governor was marked by a focus on reducing government spending, tackling crime, and strengthening the state's economic standing. Path to the presidency. After a period of national prominence as governor of California, Reagan set his sights on the White House. In 1980, Reagan secured the Republican nomination for president, running on a platform of tax cuts, a strong national defense, and a commitment to restoring American strength both domestically and internationally. His campaign appealed to a wide swath of Americans, from conservatives who believed in limited government to disillusioned Democrats who felt alienated by the growing influence of liberal policies. Reagan faced incumbent President Jimmy Carter in the 1980 election. The race was defined by economic stagnation, high inflation, and the Iranian hostage crisis, all of which contributed to Carter's declining approval ratings. Reagan's optimistic message of hope, change, and a return to American greatness resonated with voters, and on November 4, 1980, Reagan won a decisive victory with 50.7% of the popular vote and 489 electoral votes, compared to Carter's 41% and 49 electoral votes. Key achievements and policies. Economic reforms. Reaganomics, one of Reagan's most defining policies was his economic program, often referred to as Reaganomics. Reagan believed that reducing taxes, particularly on businesses and high-income earners, would stimulate investment, create jobs, and foster economic growth. His administration passed significant tax cuts, with the Economic Recovery Tax Act of 1981 being the centerpiece. Reagan also advocated for reducing government spending on domestic programs, though defense spending remained a priority. While critics argue that these policies disproportionately benefited the wealthy, Reagan's economic reforms were credited with helping to end the stagflation of the 1970s and usher in a period of sustained economic growth during the 1980s. By the time he left office, the U.S. economy had expanded, unemployment had decreased, and inflation was under control, though the national deficit had increased as a result of military spending and tax cuts. Cold War diplomacy and the end of the Cold War. Perhaps Reagan's most significant achievement on the world stage was his role in the end of the Cold War. As president, Reagan took a tough stance on the Soviet Union, labeling it the evil empire and advocating for a massive military buildup. However, he also believed in the power of diplomacy and engaged in direct negotiations with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev in the mid-1980s. In 1985, Reagan and Gorbachev held a series of summit meetings, which helped ease tensions between the two superpowers. The most significant of these negotiations was the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, INF, which led to the removal of intermediate-range nuclear missiles from Europe. Reagan's willingness to engage with the Soviet Union, coupled with his commitment to strengthening the U.S. military, played a crucial role in the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Military and foreign policy. Reagan's foreign policy was heavily shaped by his vision of American strength and the desire to combat the influence of the Soviet Union around the world. His administration was involved in several key international conflicts, most notably the invasion of Grenada in 1983 and the U.S. involvement in Lebanon. Reagan also supported anti-communist movements in Latin America, particularly in Nicaragua, where the U.S. funded and armed Contra rebels in their fight against the Sandinista government. One of the most controversial aspects of Reagan's foreign policy was the Iran-Contra affair. This scandal involved the illegal sale of arms to Iran, a nation that was embroiled in a war with Iraq, in exchange for funds to support the Contras in Nicaragua. While the scandal damaged Reagan's reputation, he managed to survive politically, with many Americans forgiving him for what was seen as an overzealous attempt to combat communism abroad. Social policies. Reagan's domestic policies were also a significant part of his legacy. He promoted a conservative agenda that included opposition to abortion, support for traditional family values, and a commitment to reducing the influence of government in people's lives. His administration was known for its efforts to cut welfare programs, reduce federal regulations, and appoint conservative judges to the federal courts. One of Reagan's most enduring social initiatives was his focus on the war on drugs, which resulted in stricter drug laws and significant increases in incarceration rates. While the policy was lauded for its tough stance on crime, it has been criticized for disproportionately affecting minority communities and contributing to mass incarceration. Challenges and controversies. Reagan's presidency was not without its challenges. As mentioned, the Iran-Contra affair stood as one of the most significant scandals of his time in office. Reagan's policies also led to debates on the efficacy of supply-side economics, as critics pointed to the growing national debt and income inequality. Moreover, Reagan's response to the HIV/AIDS crisis was slow and criticized for its lack of urgency. It wasn't until the mid-1980s that the administration began addressing the issue seriously, but many felt that Reagan's initial inaction cost lives. Legacy. Ronald Reagan left office in 1989 with a mixed but largely positive legacy. He had overseen an era of economic growth, championed a reduction in government intervention, and played a pivotal role in ending the Cold War. Reagan's optimism, strong stance on defense, and belief in American exceptionalism left a lasting mark on the nation's political landscape. He was succeeded by George H.W. Bush, his vice president, and his impact continued to shape the direction of the Republican Party for decades. Today, Ronald Reagan is often regarded as one of the greatest U.S. presidents of the 20th century, with his policies still debated and admired by many. His ability to connect with the American people, his vision for a stronger America, and his role in the dramatic transformation of U.S. foreign policy all contribute to his lasting legacy. Conclusion. Ronald Reagan's presidency was a period of great transformation, both for the United States and the world. His leadership style, economic policies, and role in the Cold War make him a central figure in American history. Whether you agree or disagree with his policies, there's no denying the lasting impact Reagan had on shaping the future of the country. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the life and legacy of the 40th President of the United States. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of influential global figures.